Good morning, Grade 6. Today we are going to have a new lesson that's talking about measuring temperature. First of all, what's the temperature? As we said in the previous lesson, the temperature is just a number that refers or represents how hot or how cold is my object. It's just a number that tells me if this object is hot or cold. Okay? That's why we define it as the degree of hotness or coldness of an object. That's for the temperature. Now we are going to see how can we measure the different temperatures by using a special tools that's called thermometers. We have too many types of thermometers and we are going to focus on only two. But before this, why sometimes we need to measure the temperature? Or in other words, which temperatures that we need to measure? The first temperature and the most important one that we need to measure is our body temperature. Why it's that important to check on our health? For example, if somebody is sick, we have to measure his body temperature accurately in order to decide the proper medication that he should take. Sometimes moms use their hands to measure their children's body temperature, like this. Is that correct? Actually, no. It's not correct, plus it's not accurate too. It will not give me an accurate measurement for their children's body temperature. Why? Because when I use my hands and put it like this, it just gives me or just tells me if I'm hot or cold, if I'm feverish or not. But it will never give me a proper measurement for the body temperature. That's number one. The second temperature that we should measure is the weather temperature, which is also very important to be measured. Why? Because this affects our life skills. What's meant by life skills? Those are the daily life activity that we do all over the day. For example, every day in the morning I have to check on the weather temperature in order to decide what to wear. Shall I wear heavy clothes? Shall I wear light clothes? Should I take a jacket with me or not? Another example, if for example I'm planning for a vacation, I have also to check on the weather temperature in the coming days to choose the proper date and the best date for my vacation. For example, if it's rainy in the 3 coming days, should I go on a vacation? Actually, no. So I have to check on the weather temperature in order to take the proper decision. Another type of temperatures that we need to measure sometimes is the liquid temperatures or the temperature of different liquids. Is it important to measure the temperature of liquids? Yes, it's very important. Which liquids that we need to measure its temperature? Or where do we need to measure the temperature of different liquids? For example, you know the baby's milk. When we prepare a bottle for a baby, we have to dissolve this powdered milk into boiled water, which is too hot. Then I have to cool it down to a certain temperature so the baby can have. That's why I need to measure the temperature of the baby's milk in order to be sure that it will be suitable for him. Something else, there are too many industries that depend on measuring the temperature of liquids. Like for example, the milk industry. If you remember, I told you about this before. When they are sanitizing or sterilizing or cleaning the milk before packing it, they have to increase its temperature or they have to heat it up to a very high temperatures. Then cool it down suddenly till also certain temperatures. So that's why the whole process has to be done under temperature control. I have to measure the temperature while I'm heating it up, and I have also to measure the temperature while I'm cooling it down. So the whole thing needs to be done under temperature control. And now let's see how can we measure the different temperatures. We can measure the temperature by using a special tool that's called thermometer. This thermometer can be used to measure whether weather temperature or body temperature or parts of that thermometer, but all of them have the same shape, all of them have the same design, and they are all working upon the same way. Okay? But here is the question is, how do they work? How do thermometers work? What's the main idea by which all thermometers work? Here we have a very small experiment that's going to make us realize how do they work. And by the way, this is just a small model for any thermometer I can do at home. All what I need is just to get a glass bottle, then fill it halfway with colored water, and I use here especially colored water to be easily seen. Then I will insert a straw. This is what we drink any juice with. Inside this glass bottle, then fix this straw and close the bottle mouth by using a piece of clay. And we said before that clay, it's just like the plasticine. Then pour the whole bottle into hot water basin. Okay, what's going to happen then? When I insert my bottle into hot water, I will observe that the colored water is going to rise up into the straw till that level before it's gone. Why does this happen? We will know this later. So then, if I take this bottle outside the hot water basin and let it cool down for a few minutes, what's going to happen? I will observe that the water level is going to fall down. So now I have two observations. Water is going to rise up inside the straw when I insert it into hot water basin. Then it will fall down when I take it out of that basin. Why do I have these two observations? Let me tell you something. Do you remember in Junior 4 when we took the matter and we said that matter has three states, solid, liquid, and gas. The water that I have here inside my bottle, it's a liquid matter. Pretty clear? So any liquid matter, so it has mass and volume. Mass, that's the amount of water inside, and I will not talk about it now. Why? Volume, what's the volume? The space taken by an object. Do you remember that? So, the space taken by water inside the bottle, that's equal to its volume. Okay? What happened here when I immerse or insert my bottle into a basin of hot water, what's going to happen? Now this water is too hot. So, the liquid inside is going to gain heat. Will gain heat through or from the hot water that surrounds it. When the liquid inside my bottle gains heat, what will happen? Its temperature will increase. And when its temperature increases, okay, so it will expand. Do you remember this word, expand? It will be larger, it will be bigger. Okay, and when it expands, its volume will increase too. And when its volume increases, it will rise up through my straw. So again, when I immerse my bottle into hot water, water inside bottle will gain heat. And when it gains heat, its temperature will increase. And when its temperature increases, it will expand. And when it expands, its volume will increase. It will take larger space. And space means volume. That's why its volume will increase. So it will rise up through the water, the straw. Then, what's going to happen when I take out my bottle out of hot water? Totally the opposite, which is what? The water inside is going to lose heat. So it will cool down and lose all of the gained heat. So its temperature will decrease. Decreasing temperature means that it will contract. Remember that word too? It will be smaller. And when it contracts, its volume will decrease. It will be smaller, taking smaller space. That's why it will fall down through my straw. Okay? So, what's the result out of all this? I have inside a liquid. This liquid, when temperature increases, it will expand and its volume increase, and it will rise up through the straw. When temperature decreases, it will contract, its volume decrease, and it will fall down through the straw. That's the main idea that all thermometers work upon it. A liquid that expands and contracts through a straw when temperature changes. That's why here we have a very important conclusion that says what? Liquids expand by heating and contract by cooling. Another conclusion, which is what? Any thermometer works when the volume of a liquid